There's nothing quite like Italian automotive design when it comes to impossibly long, low, and sleek sports cars. With names like Lamborghini, Ferrari, and Alfa Romeo, there is no shortage of glorious vehicles to talk about. But today at the Empty Garage, we're zeroed in on the House of the Trident, otherwise known as Maserati. An Italian powerhouse with roots going back to the early 1900s, Maserati has a nameplate nearly as old, the Gran Turismo, that returns for 2024 with spectacular lines and a Formula One inspired twin-turbo V6 powered by Neptune himself. Okay, maybe I'm embellishing a bit, but as far as engines go, it is kind of a big deal. It's also a pretty big deal when the Maserati Gran Turismo name is invoked, considering the last generation started production in 2007 and wrapped things up in 2019. If you're wondering how it's possible for any car to stay alive, largely unchanged, for that long, the answer lies in those sensuous Italian lines. The wonders of a Ferrari V8 didn't hurt, but man, when it comes to timeless Grand Touring coupe design, no one does it quite like Maserati. But before we get to the heart of this review, could you please take a second and click the subscribe button below? Thank you. All right, back to Maserati dreaming. So, as you may have figured out, the Gran Turismo is back. It's been 4 years since Maserati graced us car nerds with this famous nameplate, and oh my goodness did they hit this one out of the park. With looks to kill and a Formula One inspired Nettuno twin-turbo V6, the new Gran Turismo is as awesome as they come. First up is the jaw-dropping style of the all-new Maserati. Does it look like an evolution of the last Gran Turismo? Indeed it does. But considering how well that model has aged, this is a good thing. Somehow, Maserati lead designer Klaus Busse has made the new Gran Turismo even slinkier. Up front, the signature concave grille houses the Maserati Trident. Beyond that, the hood features recessed creases that run toward the cowl with a new cut line along the fender sides that create a massive clamshell with seamless front fender peaks. Maserati even has a special word for this mammoth sculpted hood, cofango, which is said to be a mashup of the Italian words for bonnet and fender. I'm surely pronouncing that word even more poorly than Mr. Busse could imagine, but it's such a fun word, cofango, that I'm not too worried about it. That cofango, okay, I'll stop now, measures a whopping 3 square meters in surface area, or 32 square feet for my fellow Americans. It's the main driver of delivering the kind of looks all but guaranteed to make the new Gran Turismo highly collectible. And it all flows into perhaps the most distinctive new aspect of these Maseratis, the headlights. A new signature Maserati design aspect, these vertically stacked headlights feature a small Trident logo on the lens surround and are sure to stand out in your rearview mirror at night, if you ever see one. From there, the side panels are tightened down low and then pushed up and around those muscular rear shoulders. You have to admit, it's a stop you in your tracks pose this new Gran Turismo strikes. The signature fender vents are still on hand, and out back it's a classy affair of quad exhaust pipes, a subtle wraparound spoiler, and a new set of thin LED taillights. Maserati says these tails blend their iconic boomerang shape with that of Neptune's harpoon. I say, yes please. There's more to cover in the looks department with the all-new Gran Turismo, like the interestingly named powder nude texturized paint finish. But first we need to get into what exactly Maserati means by the phrase powered by Nettuno. It is stamped on the engine cover after all. First off, a quick Italian legend. According to Maserati lore, 100-odd years ago, Mario Maserati, one of the many Maserati brothers, was tasked with creating an image to represent the company. While walking around Bologna, hometown of Maserati, he ended up in front of the Fountain of Neptune. My apologies to any Italian speakers for my mispronunciations, but I have in fact visited this very fountain, and it's easy to see why Mr. Maserati was inspired. It's very impressive. If you're not sold on this legend, just take a look at the trident in Neptune's hand, and you'll see it's quite similar to Maserati's logo. Fast forward to the 21st century, and Neptune, or Nettuno in Italian, continues to bring his godly powers to Maserati, specifically with a fascinating Formula One based twin-turbo V6. This power plant, of course named the Nettuno, powers Maserati's gorgeous MC20, a sports car that needs no introduction. But perhaps you're less familiar with the unique dual combustion chamber design providing motivation. If so, your fellow car nerds here at the Empty Garage are here to help. Dubbed twin combustion by Maserati, this technology is used on the automaker's 90-degree V6 motor. A motor that, by the way, deliberately does not have a balance shaft in the interest of creating a snarl unique to Maserati. Anyway, with twin combustion, there are 2 combustion chambers joined by a series of small holes. Under low load conditions, the main ignition chamber does its thing of creating thousands of tiny explosions every minute. No big deal. But when you summon the full fury of Neptune, sophisticated engine maps bring that pre-combustion chamber online. a chamber with its own dedicated spark plug. As the explosions go off in there, the fire shoots out of tiny jets at the bottom of the chamber to get the fire going really fast in the main cylinder. It's quite a fascinating bit of engineering that was developed for use in Formula One to allow engines to run more efficiently without being too lean. It also seems like an insanely complicated motor to use in a production vehicle of any kind, which makes us like it that much more. Now, in the Maserati MC20, this twin turbocharged feat of engineering makes well over 600 horsepower. So to maintain the proper hierarchy, it has been detuned for use in the Gran Turismo. Dry sump lubrication is swapped for the wet sump variety, smaller turbos are fitted, and cylinder deactivation comes into the mix. All of which makes it sound like some kind of Debbie Downer, but it's not. No friends, in Modena trim, the new Maserati Gran Turismo is rated for 483 horsepower and 442 pound-feet of torque. In top-spec Trofeo form, the Nettuno is turned up to a healthy 542 ponies and 479 bits of twist. Some may mourn the passing of the Ferrari-sourced V8 that powered the previous Gran Turismo lineup, which is fair, that was a badass powertrain. But the Nettuno makes the 2024 Gran Turismo the most powerful internal combustion-motivated Maserati in history. Sidebar, yes, there is also an incoming battery-powered Gran Turismo Folgore with even more juice, but we'll save that for another day. On the gas-powered front, Maserati is highlighting that the Nettuno is, quote, made in Modena and a, quote, 100% Maserati engine. Some publications, looking at you, Road and Track, have suggested the Nettuno engine isn't quite 100% Maserati, but the folks here at the Empty Garage aren't too worried about whether or not it has some familial sharing of parts, because it's a killer engine, period. In Modena trim, Maserati says its new Gran Turismo will hit 60 in 3.7 seconds, onto a top speed of 188 miles per hour. Step up to the Trofeo and those figures are 3.3 seconds and 199 miles per hour. Thanks to a standard all-wheel drive system and the engine being mounted behind the front wheel centerline, this Mazda can handle too. In fact, the engine has been shoved so far back from the nose that the front drive shafts are angled forward to reach the front wheels. The front to rear weight distribution of 52-48 doesn't hurt. A ZF-sourced 8-speed automatic routes the power with adaptive dampers and an air suspension on hand to keep things tight. Just press the big blue start button on the steering wheel, select your drive mode, only the Trofeo offers Corsa, and you're off. Or at least that's what we're wishing right now. And although we get fired up about the staggered width rubber, the 15-inch cross-drilled front brakes from Brembo, the dual-mode exhaust system, and the electronically controlled limited slip differential on Trofeo models, we would be remiss not to touch on some of the style that makes this latest Maserati the very definition of an exquisite Italian Grand Touring sports car. Inside, it's a carnival of leather and suede with stitched panels across the dash featuring an embroidered graphic that, and I quote, is paying homage to Michelangelo's Campidoglio Plaza in Rome. Then there's the herringbone motif on the seats, the small Italian flag on the passenger side, and the signature central clock now fully digital. Shall I go on? Okay. How about high-gloss copper yarn carbon fiber trim, open pore wood inlays, and a glorious Sonus Faber 19-speaker symphony of audio delight? It makes me want to scream Mamma Mia, but I'll spare you the horror. And what about outside? As we mentioned earlier, there is no shortage of finishes to announce your arrival, like Orange Devil, Aquamarina, and of course Rosso. But to truly make a statement, may we recommend painting your Maserati in the fine shade of powder nude texturized? That'll really set the Bring a Trailer peanut gallery on fire 40 years from now. But wait, there's more. For those that aren't content with your average, run-of-the-mill $200,000 Gran Turismo, Maserati is rolling out a Prima Series 75th Anniversary Edition. There will only be 300 built worldwide with half in battery-powered trim and half in Trofeo trim. We'll let you decide whether to go with the silver and red look or black and mint green scheme. But whichever you choose, can you please take us along for a ride?